This broadcast is brought to you by Colby Brooks with Century 21 Right Pace Real Estate and buyfrombrooks.com. Let Colby Brooks handle all of your real estate needs. A murder investigation is underway in Jonesboro. It was launched Sunday afternoon, and an elderly victim was found shot to death in his home. A very disturbing case. We're going to tell you everything we know about this and everything we don't know, but hope to learn soon. That's next on NEA Report.
Stan Morris reporting.
Obviously, this is a much more somber thing to be reporting than the normal news that we would go through. This is Stan Morris reporting, and I appreciate everybody for understanding that, and also understanding that this is an extremely sensitive subject, especially for a family that has just lost somebody in a senseless act of violence, and hopefully one that will be solved soon. An elderly man, 78-year-old man, was found shot to death in his home Sunday. It was 1800 Shady Grove Road. We went live there. It was late Sunday. It was after dark when we went live, but it was about 3:43 that the initial 911 call was made by the stepson, who was going to perform a welfare check himself on his stepfather, but the door, nobody answered. He knocked on it, tried to get somebody to answer, and nobody came to the door. So he called police. At 3:47, Officer Joseph Brandstetter was dispatched to the 1800 block, literally 1800 Shady Grove Road. And he arrived, he met with the complainant, as I mentioned, the stepson, and when they entered the home, it was evident that a murder investigation was going to be launched. The male victim, 78-year-old Donald C. Hubbard of Jonesboro. He had that address, he owned that home, according to arcountydata.com, since at least 1990, and I say at least because it had been deeded to him from another Hubbard before them, but I couldn't see exactly who. So from what we can tell, somebody that had been in this community for a significant period, somebody that had roots here, was found murdered in his home. As I mentioned, police had released a little bit more information than they had hoped for us to convey, and they've asked us to hold it, and so we will. But what we can say was he was found shot, and that it was evident that it was a murder, and it almost appeared that he was executed in his home. Very concerning details. You know, for any of us out here who've got grandparents, had grandparents, and maybe no longer have them, or parents that are, you know, of that age, it's awful to imagine someone meeting the end of their life this way. The crime scene tape, you can see the photo there, is in front of the home. It was after dark once we got there and did our live stream, but that was right around sunset, probably just right before it, whenever authorities were first there on the scene. Now, the incident report, it's incident 20-00830. It's actually online right now at jonesboropolice.com for anybody that would want to go and look at it. But most of it is redacted. There's very little you'll learn from it that I'm not going to tell you right now, or that I've not already told you, I should say, because the investigative narrative by the initial responding officer is totally masked. And it's going to be until the case is, goes to trial. And so all we know right now is one suspect is listed in the report, but it says the name unknown, all the information unknown, so that may just be a placeholder. Right. We don't know that it's necessarily one suspect, just one suspect, but I'm just mentioning that. It's a first-degree murder investigation, and authorities will be continuing that, probably with most all of the focus of the department, until an arrest is enacted. I spoke late this evening, I think it was around 5 o'clock or so, with Sally Smith, the public information specialist with the Jonesboro Police Department, and I did ask her if there were any updates on the case. There was anything she might be able to tell me. At the moment, no. Not any new information, she said. Authorities continuing to investigate. They wanted to hold some of those details because some of that could be very important, especially if they're questioning someone or if they're just trying to link different pieces of information together. and that's why we're kind of holding off on just that small bit there. But police have asked the public to contact them with any information they may have about the murder. 870-935-5657. That's the number for the desk sergeant, Jonesboro Police Department. We've said it many times, but in a case like this, it's probably much more of a concern in the entire neighborhood. This is West Jonesboro we're talking about, and it's got to be a very concerning thing for everybody in the area. So we mentioned that in the sense that if anybody has cameras, if anybody has the Ring doorbell cameras, or maybe you have some kind of Nest camera that's outside, or if anybody saw some unusual activity along Shady Grove Road, it's off of a side road that's off of West Nettleton. So if you were going down West Nettleton, you pass the YMCA, the old YMCA, which is now the City of Jonesboro Pool, you would take an immediate left, and it would be directly down in that neighborhood. So if there's any information, there is, and I've seen some people ask about cameras that the city may have. There is a SkyCop camera that's on West Nettleton that's right before that turn if you were coming from where the old YMCA would be. So I'm sure authorities are going to be looking at that, but it's a bit of a distance away, obviously. So it's going to be much more difficult to link something there to something, several turns away down the road. But Shady Grove Road is the road in Jonesboro, West Jonesboro. And, it's a concerning situation for sure, because at this moment it begs the question of, is this a random act of violence? That would be more concerning abroad than perhaps many of the traditional cases we've reported before, which was violence amongst, individuals sort of in a shared sense. So in this way, we're thinking of this case in a much more sensitive manner, but also we're thinking of the family as well. And our thoughts are with them because there's just no words that can be said that makes this better. Nothing can be said. Hopefully an arrest will happen and justice will happen, because that will begin the healing process. But healing is a long-term thing. And I just can't say the right words for a family that would be enduring this right now. But I hope that they know my heart's with them. I genuinely do. And in that vein, I hope that anybody out there that has any information about this case will come forward. Not for me, not just for the community, but for the family. It could help them begin that healing process. So if you do have information and you can come forward, please contact Jonesboro Police Department, 870-935-5657. You can also do the Crime Stoppers line at 870-935-STOP. There may be, and likely would be, a cash reward available for a tip. You can also make tips anonymously, too. And they will have no problem taking tips from you anonymously. The goal is to get information right now. And hopefully we can help police do that. We're going to continue to follow this case very closely over the next several days. And we hope that we'll be following it to the point of an arrest and that prosecution. We'll let you know what happens on this case. And again, right now, the update and the most summarized version, no suspect information that we have as of yet publicly released. Doesn't mean it isn't in there, just we don't have it publicly. And a single male victim, 78-year-old man, murdered in his home. Terrible tragedy.